Katy Huller here with KidsCanReadAndWrite.com. Today I want to talk to you about how to help your child read with one of our two vowels tricks, the O and the A. Now there are lots of two vowel combinations. In fact, whenever you see two vowels together, something weird is going to be happening. A lot of times the first vowel will say its name while the second just sits there very quietly. I always tell the kids the first one sees the second and they're so used to being spread apart in words that he's so surprised to see his buddy. He says, "Hey, remember me, my name is," and whatever that first vowel's name is, you say that. Oh. Now that doesn't work all the time because there are other two vowel tricks that are other tricks. Like when the two O's get together, they don't say oh, they say ooh, cool. Or when an O gets next to a U, he pinches him and you'll hear ow. Or all sorts of other tricks when two vowels are together. So what we usually do is we'll teach the two vowels trick with all the vowels that actually do say their names with that first one, and then teach the outliers after. But today I'm just going to go over the O-A trick with you. And you could come up with something fun to tell your child, like O sees A and he says, "Oh, what would you like to do today?" The big thing is you just want your child to start seeing that when those two letters are together, they're going to say something special. Now, if you do the two vowels trick, you say, oh, the first one sees the second, and he says, "Hey, remember me, my name is O." And that A's just listening politely, so you don't hear it. You don't make any sound for it at all. So here we go. Let's read some words together. Remember, to read, your child needs to know letters, sounds. Your child needs to have a good blending technique, know how to put those letters and sounds together. Your child needs to know tricks like this one, or they'll get tricked. And then, of course, some outlaw words that just don't follow the rules. So today we're going to read some words that if your child knows letters, sounds, good blending technique, and tricks, they should be able to read all of these without any trouble. Now, if they don't know the O-A trick yet, make sure that you teach it to them. So here we go. We want them to spot that O-A trick in all of these words. And you could write these down and see if your child can read them correctly or not. If your child can, great. If they struggle, well, teach them this trick and how to sound the word out. And I bet they'll read them all beautifully within minutes. So let's see. Here we go. Now, a lot of kids with dyslexia or visual processing issues end up getting B's and D's mixed up. So remind your child, if your child says duh here, check what's first. If that back is first, or the bat, whichever way you want to say it, then you want your child to say buh. So make sure they pay attention and don't just guess a sound each time. So we're going to say buh, and then make sure this says what? Oh. And then we're going to make this sound ta. So it should be buh-oat, buh-oat, buh-oat. You hear it? Boat. So don't be surprised if you're working with a beginning reader if they need to say it several times before they hear it. Because beginning readers are mapping this information out. They're also struggling to hear what a butt-oat would be. And so you want to make sure that you're making it clear. Now, some people hate that I say buh, and that's okay. The reason I do it is because I work with a lot of kids who have auditory processing issues, hearing issues, dyslexic issues, and they really need to hear that sound loud and strong. So I tend to put a big buh at the beginning, and then I'm going to drag this sound, which is the O. What do you want to do today, right? O. And then I'm going to shorten this sound at the end. I don't want a big buh-o-ta. I just want to glue the vowel onto whatever this next sound is. So I'm going to go buh-oat. And that's our good blending technique. Once your child learns how to blend those sounds together quickly and easily, it goes very quickly. So you want boat, boat. Whatever comes on after is going to be quick. Don't make it a big separate sound. Likewise, a lot of people mess up by going ba-o-t. And they'll even make kids do their fingers. Ba-o-t. For dyslexic learners, that can be a lot of information. I know people think it's helping when you do the hand signals, and sometimes for some kids, maybe it does. But for a lot, it's too much to think about at once, so they sacrifice listening to what they're saying. So all you need to have them do is just follow as either you point or they point. Make the first sound loud and clear, glue the vowel onto the next sound. Boat, boat, like that. Let's try the next one. If you're working with your child, you want to make sure they say the L sound. If you want to keep your sound short and your child can blend like that, don't worry about it. You can do that. There are many ways to do things, including read. So don't let anyone tell you there's only one way. There are lots of ways. This is the way I do it, and I've been very successful with kids who are struggling to read and write. So if you want to try it, give it a go. I think you'll find most kids learn very quickly and easily with this method. So again, we've got this tricky letter, which confuses a lot of kids. Now notice the circle is first. That's the daddy's face. We're going to say da, da, da for daddy. So make sure you're having your kids really pay attention to what comes first. And don't tell them which one it is. Just ask them what's first, da, 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 daddy's face, or the ba, 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 back, and have them tell you. Notice this is like a head's here, and here the legs crossed. That's the back, okay? So, da, 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 daddy's face is first here. O sees A. Remember me, my name is O, O, O. A just listens quietly. So here we go. La-ode. La-ode. Remember, you can do it 3 or 4 times with your kids. Make sure they can blend it together. La-ode. Load. The other thing you want to make sure you're doing is seeing if your child knows what they're saying. Do they know what load means? Like, I picked up a load of gravel at the store. Or could you help me load the car, right? This one, boat. Have you ever ridden in a boat? Or you might ask your child, how many types of boats can you think of? Make sure they know what these words mean. Talk about them after they read them. All right, notice we have 2 letters before our vowel combination here. That means we either have a trick or a blend. In this case, it's a blend because this says ga and this says ra. Remember, ours don't say Don't say for R, because then when you go to spell it and you hear well, that should be ER, IR, or UR. So you don't want your kids in the habit of saying for R. Make sure it's just a r. So when we read this, we're going to go ga, ra, gra. We blend them together. That's why it's called a blend. Ga, ra, gra, own. Right? We're just going to glue that right onto that ending sound. Ga, ra, gra, own. Gra, own. You hear it? Groan. Like, oh, my stomach hurts, right? Or you might groan when you have a test the next day, or too much homework, or too much work to do, or you have to wake up super early. Groan. Make sure they know what the words mean. This is a great time to teach vocabulary along with reading. So this is really helpful. All right, here we go for the next one. Notice we have 2 letters after the vowel. That's an ending blend. We're going to have to blend those together. So we can read this part. We glue this onto this part. And we're just going to kind of slide into that. So we go coast, coast, right? Coast, coast, coast. like right next to the water is the coast or the land. Or you could coast, if your car is going down a hill, you might coast down the hill and not put your foot on the gas. All right, and what about this one? Here we have two letters before that double letter combination, before our vowel. That's going to be either a trick or a blend. In this case, it's a blend. We're going to blend these together. Now remember, for beginning readers, we don't want to make them memorize any more than they need to, because for some kids, that just makes it all fall apart. So if we can just get them to go fa, la, well, they can read that blend. They don't need to memorize that. So we're going to go fa, la, oat. Fa, la, oat. And remember, your child might need to say it a few times so that they can hear it. As they're mapping these words in their brain, that's a good thing to do, because then when they want to spell the word, they should have more of it in their brain mapped out. They should hear those sounds, that fa and that la and that o with the O-A. They may have to, with spelling, they might forget that A, fa, la, oat. They won't know it's a two vowels word. You can say float is spelled float, to help them hear that ah, because if they're sounding out the word, there are many ways to say O. They need to know these are like boat, load, rowan, coast, float, if they're having trouble remembering the OA combination. I know it sounds crazy, but it's super helpful for kids who need to sound out the word to spell it. Okay, so if you have a quiet letter in the word and you want to help them spell it, instead of saying, oh, spell float, F-L-O-A-T, say float is spelled flo-at, float. And that way they can hear it and they can remember how silly that sounded and hopefully remember to spell it float each time or boat each time. So that's just a little tip. Now, if you want them to practice reading the fast way after they've kind of figured it out, you can go, how fast can you read this? And see if they can go, ba-oat, boat, la-ode, load, gra-own, grown, ka-oast, coast, fa-la-oat, float. And that's when you can work on fluency. Now, you can mix them all up so they don't just memorize the order. And that's important because we really want their eyes looking at the letters and not just memorizing what they said before. So I would pull a whole bunch of OA words, put them on index cards, and have your child sound them out. But make sure you're not putting in other tricks accidentally. If your child can't sound it out from beginning to end using the knowledge they have already, don't include that word, okay? Make sure you're using words that only include what they've actually learned how to sound out so far. So if you need help with that, look up the Black Belt Reading Program, because that's what I spent years doing, is just collecting tons of words and putting words in isolation for kids to read, sentences for kids to read, stories for kids to read, and same with the writing side. It's all in there, along with videos teaching all of these tricks. And so it's a very systematic, explicit approach for kids who need that. And what kid doesn't, right? It makes it so easy to learn to read and write when you learn it in a systematic, explicit way. And I provided all the materials for you in that. It is a paid program, but if you're looking for something to walk you through all the tricks that you need to know to teach your child and that already has everything you need in one place, look up the Black Belt Reading Program. You can find it at kidscanonlineacademy.com or at kidscanreadandwrite.com. And I'll put a link in the description also. So, hope that helps, guys. Good luck. Have some fun with your kids. Go teach them. And remember, be patient, be kind. Some kids have retrieval issues. It takes longer for them to pull up sounds and get used to reading. Be patient. Help make them feel confident as they learn new things. Let them know that hard does not mean impossible, and that they can do it as long as they never give up. And really cheer them on as they try, because even if it's challenging for them, especially if it's challenging for them, that's helping them learn. Learn not just to read and write, but learn to persevere through life's challenges. And we all need that. So hope this was helpful, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon.